Yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome again to our podcast. Welcome back. Today, we're actually going to be discussing. No, I'm going to start again because I
Yeah.
need to introduce Vic.
It's actually okay though because we kind of want to continue our last topic. Remember?
Yeah.
Not exactly same topic, but kind of continue.
But I think I should introduce you first.
Actually, I feel like this part can keep it for sure. Like this is kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty good start, right, Jamie?
No, that's a shitty start. What are
Yeah,
you
right.
talking
This is a pretty
about?
good start. I mean, yeah, right. This is a pretty good start.
Let's look at
Yeah,
it
yeah,
first.
yeah. So
Okay. Anyways, let's start. Let's start again. No, I think I should start.
yeah, we really. I feel like it's good. It's good, right? How do you guys think about? It's good, right? Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Alrighty, let's
I mean,
go.
this is what they
Vic,
said.
nice to have you here with
Yeah,
us
for
again.
sure.
And so today's episode we're pretty much going to
Yeah.
discuss about what should a homeowner
Mhm.
do and how should they choose their consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So consultants, we are consultants,
Yes.
and I find that it's a very important process for a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
Before even starting construction, before getting into the construction thing, they need to find a consultant, a good consultant to work
The
with.
right person to work with.
You remember we discussed previously
Mhm.
How a lot of homeowners,
Mhm.
if you want to do a renovation right now, what do you do?
Looking for
Contractor.
people, contractor,
Look-
consultants,
exactly.
right?
And I
Mhm.
find that that's the biggest mistake homeowners do. They find a contractor. This contractor comes in. They give them a price based on nothing really.
Yeah.
Plumbing, how do you connect it? HVAC, how do you connect it? What kind of partitions? What kind of doors?
Mhm.
The bottom line is
They have
it's
no
going to
idea.
be an inflated. It's going to be an inflated price.
Right. True.
So I think that it would be great if we can educate today our viewers and kind of explain to them what would actually be the right thing to do,
Mhm. Mhm.
how to approach the process,
Yeah.
how to how to find the right consultant,
Mhm.
what are, things to be worried about
True.
when
true,
you're getting
true,
a
true.
consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're gonna be asking me
Oh yeah. We
quite a few questions today, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be answering those.
we prepare quite a few questions here.
By the way, how do you like the pillow?
Oh yeah, this is what I'm going to mention. I kind of like this cup, You guys want to see it? It's right here. It's covering my face right now, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That-
yeah, yeah.
That's something that is very close to my heart. I love
Yeah,
those. I
right?
decided they have to be here with
Mhm.
us. And
So that's why I'm hugging right now. Yes, on outside.
you go for it. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Mine's on the side. But anyways,
Nice pillow, by the way.
let's jump into it. I hope it's going to be an interesting episode.
Oh, yo, B.
I hope that's going to be something that people are going to get educated on.
Yeah.
And I hope from now on, when people are going to get a consultant, they would kind of, be a little bit more comfortable
Yeah.
knowing what to expect.
And kind of where, what kind of question to ask
Yeah.
for the consultant, how to pick
Yeah.
the right person
Yeah.
for
Let's go.
the dream, right?
Let's
So,
go.
yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So, you ready for the first question here?
Yes.
We prepared
Let's
quite a
go.
few,
Yes, sir.
but let's kind of list down a little bit. So the first question here for you, Max, is going to be, what qualification and experience, right, should a homeowner look for in their consultant?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So when you're getting a consultant,
Right.
and we will discuss about that. Consultant, there are quite a few different professionals that
Mhm.
can help you with your pre-construction process,
Right.
right? So, for an example, you can get, as everybody know, and that's what everybody looking, an architect.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a engineer. You can get, a lot of people get it, especially from the municipality. You can get a BCIN consultant.
Right.
And to those who don't know, BCIN means building code identification number.
Right.
I will
Okay.
explain. We're gonna get to one of those questions where I will explain what is the difference,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people call in and ask us and everybody else,
Yeah.
do you guys have BCIN?
Mm.
So we'll get to that. But to answer your question, what should be looked at when you're getting at a consultant
Yeah.
and the experience?
Yeah.
I definitely think that qualifications, you should make sure that your consultant is one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are companies, design build companies like ours,
Mm-hmm.
where we have all, in stuff. We have engineers, we have we have architects, and we have
Right.
BCN consultants.
Mhm.
We do it all. Really, all three can be
Together.
used together if
Yeah.
you know how to use them for different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So, for an example, I would not need most of the time to use an architectural license for a
Mhm.
small construction.
Okay.
So if we design a building,
Mhm.
if we build a building, yes, we definitely have to have an architect for that.
Yeah.
When you're doing a residential construction,
Mm-hmm.
something like, just so that people can relate to it, what exactly
Okay.
is it for? Renovations in the house,
Mm-hmm.
Adding a secondary unit,
Laneway, maybe.
laneway,
Laneway, right?
garden suites, additions to the house, new houses,
Mhm.
That's something that can easily be stamped by an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can also argue that a BCIN designer
Mm-hmm.
can stamp residential design. It's true. But a BCIN designer, unfortunately, they are very limited.
Mm.
The license is very limited, and you're limited specifically to the building code. While
Right.
engineer can create something outside of the box,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can create a bigger span. For example, if you're building a new house and you
Yeah.
want it to be open concept,
Right.
you would definitely want to use an engineer on that. So we definitely would do our calculations and stamp it with an engineer stamp.
Mm-hmm.
If we build row houses, for example, and we're okay to have a column in the middle,
Yeah.
or not as open concept,
Mhm.
we would use a BCIN, because a BCIN usually can go 15, 16 feet spans
Mm.
max.
Okay.
And this is just a small example. There are many other restrictions
Mhm.
that a BCN designer has, but pretty much when you're looking for a consultant, first of all, you will think, okay, what is my renovation?
Yeah.
What is my construction?
Mhm.
Okay, we're building right now, as you said, a laneway suite.
Mm-hmm.
So we can probably use an engineer for it.
Right.
I also find that because all the projects we are designing to build are kind of custom,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Unless we build like a row house,
Mm-hmm.
or unless we build complex, or unless we build something that has to do with smaller or bigger subdivision,
Mm-hmm.
I find that if we use something custom,
Yeah.
the best solution for it would be an engineer.
Mm.
Because the stamp allowing custom.
So you would say engineer they have more kind of like a leeway and more space to
Yeah.
getting changes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So really, at the end of the day, I find that engineer would be the best solution for residential construction,
Mhm.
residential additions, than probably any other consultant.
But how about the other two? Like the other two, so you mentioned BCIN designers and architects,
Mhm.
right? So they are not suitable for like what kind of home, let's say renovation, whatever.
Yeah. So because BCN designer strictly limited to the building code,
Right.
and building code is all about specific tables and specific numbers,
Mm-hmm.
building code doesn't let you calculate anything custom, right?
That's true.
So as long as you are building something that is within
The spec.
those code and nothing custom, you will be okay. That's why most of the time when you buy a smaller semi-detached complex or a smaller row house complex, you will see a BCN stamp.
Right.
because that's within their allowances.
Is that cheaper?
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, right?
It's cheaper, but it usually creates other issues that are more actually more expensive in construction, because
Oh yeah.
if I cannot spend something 30 feet
Mm-hmm.
and I need to put a column in the middle
Mm-hmm.
in order to be within my restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
this column costs money.
Oh yeah.
So eventually,
Like
to
extra
put this column
resources,
and
yeah.
all the structure around it will cost you the extra money. But so overall, I don't know if it's cheaper or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that overall, it's just engineer stamp makes sense when you're building custom things, when you're removing load-bearing walls, when you are wanting to go with bigger spans. You know, unless you're doing really renovation that has nothing to do with kind of structural.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
again, if you're creating a small edition, let's say a 15 by 12 edition, something small, you can also have a BCIN stamp on it as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would say if your project is within the limit, you can just use the BCN engineer designer.
Yeah, we do that too. We use those. We have different liabilities that we use in the office.
Yeah.
That's why we decide which one to use. For commercial stuff, we would use architectural liability. For residential, we would use, depending what engineering or BCN stamp. Yes.
So we are 3 of them.
Yeah, we're licensed to all of them. Yeah.
See, choose us.
Choose us.
So
Yes.
yeah, nice. And my next question here is going to be related exactly the same as the one we mentioned before, like the 3 characters. So what are the key services, right? What are key services consultants provide during a pre-construction and construction project?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's a good question. So, pretty much, what is that as a consultant, not as a builder, we do during the construction?
Right.
So, there are quite a few things that a consultant can provide,
Mm-hmm.
and I find also this is a problem that homeowners usually don't understand.
Okay.
So, for an example, I'll give you an example of how a homeowner approaches usually the conversation and where is the mistake, where issues can kind of start and where you can actually stop it on
Let
time.
minimize it. Okay.
So usually, if you want to build something,
Mm-hmm.
you need building permits.
True. We talked about this before.
So
Yeah.
every person is trying to be educated, which is great. I definitely I like educated clients more than non-educated clients. So they
Yeah.
would go to the city, they would go to the building department,
Mm-hmm.
and they would talk to the staff, which is again very encouraged. And the staff would tell them, well, if you want to build something, you need to get permits.
Hmm.
Okay. So they would get to talk to us or somebody like us. If it's us, luckily, we will give them the full story because we know how, clients think.
True.
And we're going to try and do as much as possible to avoid miscommunication. But they would come to a consultant and they would tell them, we need permit drawings. Consultants will give them permit drawings
Hmm.
and they will submit it to the city. Permit drawings is not a full thing that a consultant can do.
Right.
So you got different kind of packages
Mm-hmm.
for construction.
Okay.
Permit drawings is pretty much a technical drawing
Mm-hmm.
that is submitted on the homeowner's behalf
Mm-hmm.
by the consultant to the municipality
Mm-hmm.
to get the approval of what is going to be built.
Okay.
So people don't think about it, but really a permit drawing is a contract
Mm-hmm.
between the homeowner to the municipality being delivered by the consultant,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just like, if you're using any contract where you sign with between two parties,
True.
so the consultant is pretty much a person that create that contract,
Mm-hmm.
and drawings is just part of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're creating permit drawings, it's a technical contract, which means you're not going to have all the details, of the construction.
Mm-hmm.
Permit drawings, for example, would not have finishes. What kind of finishes are we going to use? What kind of floors we're going to use? What kind of wall finishes we're going to use?
Yeah.
It's not going to have there.
Mm-hmm.
So people that come and people that approach their consultants, not knowing what is that they want, saying that we want permit drawings, need to understand that they will not get a full set of drawings that will involve what kind of light is going to be put in place, what kind of countertops are going to be, what kind of kitchen, what materials, what baseboards, what casings. It's not going to be there. Really, what's going to be there is a drawing with all the dry information that's necessary for the construction. And this dry information will include HVAC calculations, if necessary, which is mechanical.
Yeah.
It will have architectural drawing with structural information on it. And really, that's it. So architectural and structural.
Right.
Really, that's what it's going to have. So this is one thing that a consultant provides. Okay? Which is the basics.
Right.
And again, I want to clarify that I'm using the word consultant, but behind consultant, behind that word, I'm actually referring to architects, structural engineers, BCN consultants. All those pretty much are consultants, depending on what your construction is and depending on who you picked.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a consultant. Their job is to consult. Okay? So when you are getting those permit drawings, you still didn't hire the consultant to consult. You hired them just to create the permit drawings.
Right.
Okay? A lot of people are surprised. Well, we paid you for permit drawings. How come you are not consulting? Well, because you need to pay me for consultation. Right? And those are the issues that are happening. That's why I'm stressing it out there for people to know what is that they want. So second thing that consultants provide is, which I just mentioned, full construction package. Okay? This construction can include pretty much all the finishes and everything from A to Z. Again, most of the time for residential purposes, that kind of package is not really required. It's above and beyond. Residential homeowners really like to go to stores with their contractor, pick everything, see what it looks like on spot. It's not like when we're doing a commercial space where all the materials are already approved up front before the building even built.
Right.
Okay? But yes, there are options like that. And when we are building custom homes on a very high level, our clients, they do expect to have the drawing ready with, for example, schedule for all the doors that are going to be installed, schedule for all the windows, all the details for the windows, how exactly it's going to be installed, baseboards, tiles, flooring, and all that. So this is the second kind of level
right.
of, yeah.
So those are all included in the package?
Yeah.
Like full package, basically. Like
exactly.
Premium package.
Exactly.
So,
so now also what you need to understand that the difference between permit drawings and this full package, that permit drawings can be done in
the package.
4 weeks,
right.
5 weeks for, let's say, a new build, versus that kind of package would take months, probably 3-4 months to do.
So the permit, because you mentioned about a permit, will take around like 3 to 4 weeks, right? Like roughly.
So no, a permit will take a little bit, but we'll definitely talk about it later. Right. So permit times and how long it takes to actually get the permits, we will talk about it a little bit later. We do have, I believe, a question about that. I went through them. But pretty much this is the second thing that a consultant will provide. The third thing that a consultant should provide is inspections and reports, right? So what happens on regular basis is when you're building anything, you will have an inspector coming in to inspect.
Okay.
When a building being drawn, it should be drawn as per the drawings. Yeah. But unfortunately, this is not the case in real life.
Right.
Things change. Clients change what they want to do. Design would change a little bit. And then when the inspector comes in, they would see that.
Oh, this one has changed.
Exactly. So now what's on site is not really as per the drawings.
Yeah.
And they would tell you, go get me your your consultant,
Oh,
your
okay.
engineer, let them create a report, and if they're okay with that, we will accept it.
Oh,
So those
okay.
reports, this is also something that is very important, but a lot of people don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to discuss a little bit more about it in the future questions. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, this is something that I believe that an educated homeowner should think about.
Mm-hmm.
When they're talking to their consultant, they should ask them, okay, you're doing the permits.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to include site visit if necessary? And if not, how much would a site visit cost?
Right. That's true.
Because this is unfortunately, again, when we talk to our clients, we have it in our proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that if site visits are required,
Right.
it will cost X amount of money.
So site visit will charge you extra money.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but because
No,
we
I
mentioned
wouldn't call it
about
a site visit. I would call
like a site inspection
a
kind
site
of.
inspection and a
Oh,
report.
okay.
Yes,
Right.
definitely. And people would assume, homeowners would assume that this is something that is just common sense,
Mm-hmm.
but not really. No, because it's up to the inspector whether they want to call us in or not.
Right.
And it's up to the inspector to see that something was changed.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you're not changing anything and you're doing your construction 100% as per the drawings, it's perfectly fine.
Right.
Unfortunately, in real life, nothing is
You'll get
perfect like
changed.
that. Things are changing,
Yeah.
A bigger window all of a sudden that changes, the amount of weight that is being held from above, and
Mm-hmm.
now it needs to be recalculated. A lot
Right.
of things like that needs to be reviewed again.
Yeah.
So this is also something that's another service that consultants should provide. Okay.
Wow. So
And-
you was
yeah,
So
go
you
ahead.
would say every subtle changes. For example, like you said, we change the bigger window to a smaller window, right? For example, and you mentioned about the report. Should the consultant write the report again
So
to the
so that's what happened. A consultant would have to come on site, which usually that's what I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would come on site. I will review the changes that happened.
Mm-hmm.
If everything is done by code, I will create it and write.
Yeah.
Because they're different kind of contractors. You'll never know.
Right.
But usually if the job is done by our contractor,
mm-hmm.
although happens every once in a while, that you would have to come on site. You see something is done.
Mhm.
It's not done 100%. You would tell the contractor,
This
fix
one's
it,
not right.
fix it, redo it the right way. You tell them what to do. They fix it, send you a couple of pictures, and you're good to go. You know what I mean?
Got it.
So, but yeah, we would come on site. We would review everything. If everything is good, we create a report,
Mhm.
send it to the inspector, and the inspector
pass.
will pass the
We'll pass
inspection.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually it will take how long? Just kind of
Ah,
curious.
So you see, that's actually a good question, which also we were supposed to look at it in the future. But
Yeah.
I will definitely. It really depends. So if your consultant is
Yeah.
also your contractor,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a good combination,
Will be way
because
shorter.
it's in my
right?
interest. It's in my interest
mm-hmm.
to pass it as fast as possible, to fix it as fast as possible,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we're moving on.
Right.
If I'm your consultant but I'm not your contractor,
Mm-hmm.
I might have different priorities, and instead of coming the same day, inspecting it, passing it, and send it to the inspector,
Mm-hmm.
it might take me a couple of days to show up.
Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes those couple of days make your construction pause,
Oh yeah. Because
which
you
is
cannot.
not
yeah.
the best thing. So yeah, those are definitely kind of things that the homeowners should evaluate,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Got it.
And of course, the last thing, and I promise this is the last thing. I know
Mhm.
you're like anxious to move to the other question,
Yeah.
but our job here is to educate, and what we're doing
Yeah.
is educating. So let's do that. The last thing is actually consulting,
Mm.
okay? And I'll explain.
Okay.
If my job was to provide just the building permit drawings, and
Mhm.
I did,
Mm-hmm.
and to get the permits, after I got you the permits, good luck.
Hmm.
You have a contractor, they should know what they're doing. They should get an inspection,
Mhm.
and this inspection needs to be approved, period. You don't need me anymore. If you're going to need me after that,
Mm-hmm.
I will give you to come on site to inspect, to give you a letter, whatever the problem is. We'll be there, of course. But that's not part of this building permit package.
Mm.
Again, this is why it's very important for clients, first of all, not to compare apples to oranges.
Mm-hmm.
Some will include, some will not include those packages.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, to make sure that it's included. If you want that included, or if you're willing just to pay extra for it.
Right.
Now we have a lot of situations where contractors, especially incompetent contractors,
Right.
would call us on regular basis and ask questions. Max, what do I do here?
Oh, really?
Look at the drawings. Max, how do I build a wall? You're a professional contractor. You should be able to know how to build a wall. You know?
Yeah.
And I find that we have to babysit the contractors to do the right thing,
Right.
which makes us the consultants or offsite
So important,
management
right?
team kind of thing. So clearly, when we're doing construction,
Mm-hmm.
this is my problem, and this is something that we deal with. When we're not doing the construction and we are acting as a building permit creator,
Mm-hmm.
kind of building permit
Yeah.
architect or engineer on behalf of the client,
Mm-hmm.
then we don't do that, right? So this is another thing that a client should
Include in the package.
really, I wouldn't say include. I do not think that it's necessary in all the cases,
Right. But should be aware of when choosing the right consultant,
but should
right?
be aware of and ask the consultant, all right, let me ask you a question. If we have questions, can we call you? Or
Mm.
and typically I'll tell you what my answer is,
Yeah.
because I think that's important. My answer to it is, if your contractor needs to talk to us, and we had those issues,
Mm-hmm.
your contractor needs to talk to us and there's an issue on site, first of all issues are solvable.
Mm-hmm.
So people get overwhelmed when they have issues. They're like, oh my God, what do we do now? Everything is solvable. But if it's solvable by we made certain small mistake on a drawing and that needs to be fixed,
Mm-hmm.
which happens. We're all humans, right?
Yeah.
The idea is, we're not going to say that things happen. It's construction. It's
Mhm.
a very involved process.
True.
So if situation like that happen and we
Mhm.
have an issue with the drawings, clearly Acadia takes responsibility and our team would redo whatever necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, usually that's not the case. And the case is usually a contractor who made a boo-boo. Let's call it.
Like a boo-boo. Okay.
Just a little boo-boo.
What kind of boo-boo?
And that little boo-boo
Yeah.
pretty much brought to the point that they need to revise something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of homeowners get upset and frustrated because it, of course, involves in extra work and usually
And
more
extra
cost.
time, right?
But they
Yeah.
should also understand that this is something that their contractor should be liable for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So, yeah.
So, but yeah, consultation services definitely something that should be looked into, whether or not the
Mhm.
client wants.
Right. So you would say the contractor, the consultant, engineering, and all that stuff need to be, I mean, preferably to be like, one single entity, right? Like one single person.
You know, I personally
Like
think,
Acadia. Like us. Because we do all the
yeah,
services.
I personally think that it's, you see, I don't want to say yes or no or yay or nay because we are that case, but I find that it's a great way to avoid a lot of issues.
Mhm.
It's a great way to make sure that all the teams work together
Mm-hmm.
synchronized.
Yeah.
To avoid problems, and problems, as you understand, in the construction
And let's
industry,
yeah.
problems equal money
Equal money and time.
and time.
And time.
Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
True.
we want to avoid those. If we want to avoid those, if we need to avoid those, we definitely need to make sure that everybody's synchronized.
Yeah.
And of course, which we'll discuss that as well, knowledge.
Knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Because I do believe
Everything is
if we are in the same team, for example, the whole like from the top to the bottom, if the whole team they are working on the same project, it can save a lot of time.
Of
So
course.
a lot of time and also a lot of money because you can avoid a lot of miscommunication, right? A lot of
First
people.
of all, second of all, if you remember, we actually discussed that also. I don't remember a couple episodes or
Yeah,
last
like
episode.
maybe like one episode.
But
one
we
or two.
discussed the situation that again,
Yeah.
a team, not necessarily more expensive. A team means that we have the knowledge to design something
Right.
that will be cheaper in construction,
Right.
right? So at the end of the day, a good consultant instead of saving on a consultant, you need to bring a good consultant to save on the construction.
Mm-hmm.
The budget consultation is only tiny part of the budget of the construction, not the other way around.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh, well, we need to save a couple of grand because hopefully we're going to have more money to have
hopefully
to have a toilet with a bidet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this is really not how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to make sure is that your team avoids the bigger costs,
Right. Which is
which is cheaper ways of construction.
Yeah.
And
And causing like a lot of problems. For
Right?
example, remember you mentioned about the beam. Like,
Yeah,
you were talking
yeah,
about
yeah. The
like
right,
steel and the wooden
right
made.
sufficient HVAC systems.
Yeah.
Not the HVAC system that every building code designer can do, but actually something that is sufficient,
True.
that it's customized. So now you spend, let's say, $500-$600 more, $1,000 on
Mhm.
HVAC, but now you got a system that over 20 years is going to save you thousands of dollars, that is going to be more efficient, that is going to be more quiet, which what people also don't understand, the quality of home
Mm-hmm.
is very, very important.
Right.
So when you're looking at HVAC just to heat up yourself during the winter and your family, you don't want to stress over the fact
Mhm.
that there is a white noise completely, that there is a white
Mhm.
noise in the background, and you just get used to it. But your brain actually never rests in the house.
Right.
You know, we had those situations where people have their HVAC systems making noises
Mm-hmm.
that was designed by others. You know, when we take
Mhm.
on builds only and we build it, and the HVAC system make noises, and people just get used to it, and they live in this kind of an environment, which really, if you think about it, you don't have emotional rest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yes, we as good designers do think about it.
Right.
Those are very important points that you don't save a penny here.
Mm-hmm.
You save a buck later,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
So that's really
Right. Because speaking of which, because not only for the quality but also for the timeline, right?
Mm.
So when speaking about the timeline and this the time span for a consultant or a contractor to build a home, so the question is actually related to the timeline. So what should the homeowner expect in terms of timelines, and also in project management, like milestones with their consultant?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. Again, there are a few ways of doing it, of course. But since we're trying to avoid miscommunications
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to show what would be the right thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
I think that, first of all, timelines. So you're not going to hear numbers from me because we're talking hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the project is.
True.
But definitely timeline, that's something that should be communicated upfront, explaining, okay, we're doing, let's say, an addition.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take us 3 to 4 weeks to design it
Right.
and to submit it to the city. Of course, homeowners, when they build their babies, their houses,
Mm-hmm.
like their babies,
Yeah.
they might take a little bit longer. They might, communicate stuff differently.
Yeah.
They might take some, we had a situation that we had to wait for an answer for a couple of weeks because people were away, normal. We understand that. But overall, if there are no interruptions,
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 weeks, a project like that should be done.
Right.
It should be sufficient. And then you should communicate, okay, this project involves a few different departments,
Mm-hmm.
zoning, building, and others. When you go to the zoning department, it takes time. When you go to the building department, it takes time.
Time, yeah.
Every department circulate a little bit differently. So you as a consultant
Mm-hmm.
should know more or less, yes, plus minus 2 weeks. It's not an exact science,
Mm-hmm.
but you should know more or less, let's assume within a month, how fast the permits are going to be approved for,
Right.
right? Because you've done those before.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely timelines should be discussed so that expectations are set correctly.
Right.
I did find that, a lot of clients come to us and they're like, Max, we had a consultant. They said that they will do the drawings in 2 weeks and we're going to get the permit in 4 weeks altogether.
Wow.
3 months later, we're calling you.
3 months later.
You know what I mean? And, and those are the smart ones. Those are actually the ones that realize that we have nothing to continue. We shouldn't waste time. We should just move on.
Right.
It's a loss, moving on. Some people would wait for 4, 5, 6, and the problem is it's a snowball effect. You're thinking, well, I already paid that guy. I don't want to believe in a situation that they're not going to do their job right.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just wait. Let's just wait. And they're just waiting.
And ended up wasting a lot of time.
Exactly. Ended up wasting a lot of time, still losing their money. And that just by saving a couple of bucks. But we'll discuss that as well.
Right.
My solution is very simple. Everything should be discussed up front. Nothing should be, I find that there are clients that feel that, well, we don't want to upset you. We don't want you to, we so like your price. We just do what necessary. No, everything needs to be answered. You need to know how long everything is going to take approximately. You need to know what are the milestones. Okay, where are we going to meet? Are we going to over phone, over Teams, over Zoom, in person? When are we going to discuss the design phase? How exactly is it going to work? Should we give you some ideas and then you start designing? Or are you going to give us a couple of options? It's like we don't have a TV show about building consultants, but we have something about lawyers, which is Suits. And people think that working with a lawyer is pretty much like it is on the screen. But it's not like that.
Right.
Processes are differently. We're not in the world where we're gonna sit down and open up a full wall of pictures. Let's discuss each one of them. That's not how it works.
Right.
So, but expectations are very important, and those have to be set.
Right.
So milestones. When are we talking about anything? When are you thinking you're going to apply for the permits, actually submit the application?
Yeah.
How long that's going to take? When do you think that the permit is going to be approved?
Right.
Because homeowners should also understand when the construction is going to start. There's also window for construction that we don't want to lose, right? People think that permits will take, a couple of weeks and it's done. In some situations, if you want to build a new house, and you don't start designing it. For example, if you want to start building a house in, let's say, end of April, beginning of May, you should start the design in November, December, the year before. That's in a great case scenario. Okay, January the latest. Otherwise, you lose your window of construction.
Right.
Because you can't finish with the permits towards November. April. Let's say May. July, August. Because you're not going to have enough time to enclose the building for the winter.
So you said, oh, got
it. Right.
And normally in the winter, it'd be pretty, like having a hard, pretty hard to construct. Do construction.
The ground is frozen. You're not going to start. You're not going to start digging for the foundations in the winter. Yes, there are companies doing that. If you want to get couple of, and by couple, of course, I'm being sarcastic, couple of cracks in your foundations. Yes, there are new technologies that kind of allow you to dig in
this kind of
weather. But again, call me old school. I like to do things right. I like to dig in to the ground when when the ground is get unfrozen after the winter, which usually happens earliest case scenario mid-April. Because
now it's snowing outside actually.
So what you need to understand is that it takes 2 to 3 weeks for the ground to unfreeze. So even if you have right now, let's say plus 18 outside, but it was in the negative temperatures, you still need to wait 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
So, and then 2 to 3 weeks just to be safe, a month, and there you go. So when the negative temperatures stop, let's say, well, we're in April already,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of a sudden we have snow.
And
as you
now
said.
it's snow outside.
Yeah.
I was so surprised.
So
Yeah.
so theoretically, you're not going to be able to break ground
Wow.
before May.
What?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So usually the period will be the middle of April, or maybe
Yeah.
like the beginning of May.
Yeah. So this is a
till
cold winter.
October, November, like the
No,
middle
no,
of
no.
November.
So this is a cold winter.
Yeah.
Which means
Need
usually in a
more
regular
time
winter
till I'm
you would
frozen.
probably break ground in the mid that kind of in the middle of April,
Mhm.
mid to towards the end of April. But the window closes because you want to enclose everything. You want to start. So when you're building a new house,
Yeah.
first you build the foundations,
Mhm.
then you're going to build the frame,
Yeah.
and then you do the roof to make sure that it's waterproof and everything,
Mhm.
and then you can kind of proof it from the outside and
Yeah.
start the interior work. And for that window, usually, again, you can do framing in the winter as well. You can,
But the fundamental it needs to be.
but you want your crews to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You want everything to work, to work right. So, the best window for the exterior of the building would be from mid-April.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, this year, mid-May,
Mid-
May to mid-May,
Yeah.
until pretty much mid-December.
Okay.
But then again, it doesn't mean that if in December they didn't finish, if we have a house that we started and we didn't finish, no, we're still going to work.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the foundations are there. You can
Yeah,
still
like
continue
ideal
working.
weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Ideal
But
weather. though.
ideal weather, yeah. That
Is
that
that between
would be,
time frames like 7 months? 7 months, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
Which is
right.
more than enough to erect
Mm-hmm.
a structure and start working on things inside.
Right. Wow. So speaking of which, because we mentioned about, like the other rules, right? Not like engineers and what's it called again? I always forgot the name.
BCIN.
BCI.
BCIN
Exactly.
designer.
I always need to look at the paper.
Yes.
Designers and also architects.
Yeah.
So the question here is, because I'm kind of curious about, because I was asking you about BCIN designers and engineers, but I'm actually not really know how architects will be involved in the business.
In the permit process.
Yeah, in the permit process, exactly. So this is exactly the one I wanted, to write down here. I really want to ask you.
Which is also
this.
great. And there is a lot of miscommunication there as well,
Yeah.
which is great if discussed up front.
Mhm.
So, first of all, not all architects like to even get involved in the permit process.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They would give you the drawings and tell you
Mhm.
good luck.
Okay.
They will create the drawings for you and
And
you
they're
would
just
get,
done.
and they would be like, listen, find
Give it to
find a
consultant.
consultant. Yeah, building permit specialist. Yes.
Wow.
Same with engineers. Not all engineers like to deal with it. Listen, unfortunately, it's not a very thankful business that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the municipalities, with the bureaucracy of the
Yeah.
municipality and all that,
It's a lot of work.
and having sometimes frustrated clients that really, really craving to start construction.
Mm-hmm.
And, and meanwhile, you in within the permit process. It's
It's stressful.
stressful.
I
Yes.
can tell, yeah.
So that's why architects would say usually, let me give you the drawings and
Bye.
goodbye. Yeah, go.
and go.
You
Bye.
go do you, yeah. So again, luckily in our company, this is where design build
Mm.
is a great solution because we do everything in house.
Yeah.
As you know, we got Karen.
Oh, yeah. For the permit.
She's an application specialist, right? All she does for pretty much the past 5 years, dealing with municipalities,
Wow.
submitting applications and getting permits, right?
Wow. And she'll be on the podcast in the future
Hopefully.
episode. In the future episode.
Hopefully.
I
But
really hope. Yeah.
yeah, because we would
It'd be a
definitely want
knowledge.
we would definitely want to dig in
More into this
deeper,
kind of deeper.
into
The bureaucracy, how
applications
to
and-
deal with it, right?
Yeah, because why
Yeah,
not?
it's a lot of
We'll
work.
give you guys everything. That's the idea. We
Exactly.
are here to give you all the information necessary, all the information to avoid
Pitfalls.
ungrateful people out there,
Ungrateful people out
consultants out there. Yeah. But yeah, so that's one problem. So definitely when you're coming in, so you know how I always say, an answer is only as good as the question.
Mm.
You gotta know how to ask the right question. You call it a consultant, architect, engineer. You tell them, we need building permit drawings. Okay, how much? X much. Okay, let's go. No, we need building permit drawings. We need to submit them to the city. We might need the full construction package. Are you doing that? Are you creating all the schedules that necessary with all the materials? Is that included? Is it not? Are you going to do all the site visits required by an inspector? Is it included in the price? Is it not? Reports.
Right.
That's what I want the homeowners
To know.
out there to know and to be able to ask me.
Right.
Because really, giving this information makes our job easier.
Right.
Because if you have nothing to worry about and hide, you want your client to come to you educated to pretty much make most of the work easier for you, and then just give them the price. Hopefully it's good for them and move on.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely going back on your question, what is the
architects, yeah. So how
what
architects
level of involvement?
Yeah,
what the
level
level of involvement has to do a lot with what is agreed upon.
Right.
Based on those previous, if you remember,
those kind of
services that they decide for the architect to
like
do.
package kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
you mentioned
What they pick.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm quite curious here because you mentioned for the permit, in the event of getting permit and get past the permit and also getting to construction, you said the inspector want consultant to be on the site for how many times, like roughly?
So it really depends. But usually, which is actually great because now you will go deeper a little bit into reports, how many of those are going to be necessary. Yeah. Great question. So yeah, usually it's about 3 times or 4 times, depending on the construction.
And depending
they
on
would
the
want to
size.
they would want to see a consultant review for the foundations.
Okay.
They would want to see consultant review on the framing stage. Well, roughing stage, which is framing, HVAC, and what am I missing?
So
yeah, framing and HVAC.
Right.
And
roughly,
then they would want to see roughing stage, and then pretty much at the end,
anything changes,
occupancy
right?
stage.
Right.
And of course, so that's
changes.
why I did not talk about that, because changes are not part of it. Because if you don't have any changes done, you should know that you're going to have 3 to 4 inspections by the inspector.
Yeah.
If you pass all of them, it's great. If you don't pass all of them, you need your consultant. Yeah. You're going to need them for 3 to 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like it all depends.
Of course.
It all depends.
And of course, this is a big part of the budget. Not a big, but a part of the budget.
Right.
And has to be thought of.
Right on.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure because hiring consultants, architects, and the designer, you need a budget. Like every owner need a budget. So this is going to be my next question, because we were talking about timeline, we were talking about the milestone, and now it's based on the budget. What kind of budget should the homeowner need to be anchored on? So is how should a homeowner decide on the right budget for an architect's services?
That's a good question, because at the end of the day, it also depends on what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
Let's say if that architects, after drawing and go find yourself a consultant. I mean, for these kind of services.
I'm kind of thinking about it because everything is so different all the time.
Yeah.
I think that, so I'm going to try and answer that question differently, because again, we can't go into the numbers because we don't have any concrete project that we're talking about. But what I would suggest is I'm going to look at it differently. How do you budget based on you're having 3-4 different consultants that you talk to? How do you know one of them be a big different? The lower price could be a lot lower than the higher price.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you really budget who to go with? So I would suggest
Mm-hmm.
whoever includes all the services in their budget
Mm-hmm.
and would be good, because let's assume you went for a consultant for whatever project, and one would charge you $10,000, the other one would charge you $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one consultant is the one that you told them, I want permit drawings, and they're not thinking further than they knows,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, permit, I'll give them permit drawings, 10 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other one would think, yeah, well, he's doing permit drawings, he's probably going to need me 3 times on site. If he's going to need me 3 times on site, I'm going to put it in the price already. And then they will need a package of this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And really, their 20,000 makes sense, because the guy with the 10,000
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of hidden clauses that you don't even know about.
Right.
And eventually it will get to 20,000. So really what I would say is, when you're picking your consultants,
Mm-hmm.
to try to compare apples to apples
Mm-hmm.
and not apples to oranges,
Mm-hmm.
and to see who got all the services. Usually I find that whoever gives you all the services
Yeah.
have prices that make sense. Let's call
Right.
it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And the cheapest price is always something that you should be aware that extras are coming.
Right.
And by the way, again, just to give an example, here in Acadia, we pretty much, when we submit a price,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have any hidden costs, nothing. We just give our clients a price. That means
Transparent. Pretty transparent.
that means we're just gonna go and do everything necessary for you to get your permits. We're gonna give them to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna go into construction. That kind of thing.
Right. So you were
This is
mentioning
the price and period.
Right. So you were mentioning about apple to apple and oranges to oranges. So you would say, for a normal homeowner, how many consultants should be
Involved in the project.
Involved in the project, and asking, because I'm pretty sure people will ask you and also ask the other consultants and also the third consultants on exactly the same project, but asking for the budget and asking for the timeline and all that stuff. So how do you feel? How many consultant need to be asked and involved?
So how about I'll tell you what the consultant that should be involved in a project,
Okay.
and what I
be
think
good.
a homeowner, an educated homeowner should do
Mm-hmm.
with that information. Because
Right.
there are a couple of answers to it. So first of all, the dry answer is you need 2 consultants
Mm-hmm.
to get your building permits approved, but you need your structural engineer,
Mm-hmm.
who will do the drawings for the structure, the building,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you need your HVAC engineer.
So before
2.
2.
That's it.
Oh, still
2
2.
consultants,
Okay.
mechanical and structural.
Structural.
And that should be sufficient to, of course, if your permit consultant is separately, then 3 permit. But I would not, again, I would be careful with that. And this is where I'm coming to. That's a very important point. The problem with this situation is, if those consultants are not communicating,
Mm-hmm.
you have issues. And I'll give you an example. You created a floor system,
Mm-hmm.
a structural engineer created a system of a house that was sent to a mechanical engineer to create the HVAC system for the house. They did not read the structural drawings correctly and put an HVAC system that goes through a beam, for an example.
Wow, it's pretty bad.
And now to avoid it, you have to go under the beam. And when you go under the beam, all of a sudden, you don't have, let's say, sufficient height that's necessary by the building code, minimum height in your basement.
Yeah.
So snowball effect of issues.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that it's very good
Mm-hmm.
when you have one company that's managing this process,
Mm-hmm.
because it's their job, our job. By their, I mean a company like Acadia.
Yeah, like us.
It's our job to make sure that all our
points.
consultants in house
Yeah. They're
did
all
everything. We're having a meeting to make sure that everything works.
right.
Now, this meeting, something that the client, they don't even know that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we don't want to make a mistake in construction that's going to cost us a lot of money.
True.
Makes sense.
True.
Consultants, when they're separately, it's
Yeah.
a different story. It's not happening. So as a homeowner, sometimes homeowners, they think they will save a little bit of money on doing so. Again, you remember, they're not looking at the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to save a little bit of money. And that's what happens.
Right.
You get the drawing from one person, you get the drawing from another consultant, submit to the city. Different departments check those drawings, so they approve them differently.
Mm-hmm.
But on site, all of a sudden, you have a lot of issues.
Oof.
Issues that can cost thousands of dollars, $10,000s sometimes. And all of a sudden now, all the consultants need to come on site to figure out how to fix it.
And they need to check.
Easy. They cannot be there right away. Now you have to coordinate a couple of consultants to come in. Now you have to coordinate.
Oh, there's no
looking
effect.
for trouble.
This is
Looking for
snowball
trouble.
Effect, yeah.
But, it's done. Not saying that everybody's bad, just giving the worst case scenario that can happen. Versus when you have everything in-house of the construction company, that means that Mr. Mike, the structural guy, calls our project manager or myself, Max, I need somebody here right away. We have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the same consultant that was dealing with the permits and the drawings will be there right away. And this issue will be fixed before even becoming an issue. Right?
Quicker. Yeah.
Also, don't forget that before construction starts,
Mm-hmm.
our contractors will go through the drawings, which are with our staff with the consultation team, to make sure that everything works before the construction even starts, which is something that's not happening when you have
Separated team.
Exactly.
Right.
So all of a sudden, I hope that all the homeowners out there that are listening to us understand that having a team with you saves you money.
Especially in the same team.
Exactly. Saves you money, saves you time, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and also milestone, like clear milestone.
Yeah.
Right. And like good services, like JIT, like just in time services.
Yeah.
You would say.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what is the charge? Like the typical charge for the consultants company. So for example, how do consultants typically charge for their services?
Okay, yes. So that's also a good question. So you will find that in the industry, there are three ways of really charging.
Mm-hmm.
One way would be a flat fee.
Oh, flat.
Which
okay.
I'm old school kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm in favor with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like when my clients need to worry about anything. So flat fee, that's really the number one thing. There are a lot of consultation and we also, of course, we also do hourly, and a lot of other companies do that. Usually we do that for commercial purposes or different purposes where you do not really have a set scope.
Right.
Right? When you have a set scope, like residential construction, it's simple. Flat fee is sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and of course, depending on what is the involvement, if we're actually involved as a management team, because, we also build. So we act as a general contractor on behalf of our homeowners, of our clients.
Right.
Then definitely we, then as a management team, we do on-site, off-site management, which is administration, making sure that the project runs, everything, all the, everything that has to do with paperwork, city and all that. Then pretty much it could be as a certain percentage of the construction as any other general contractor is doing.
Right.
Pretty much working as per this percentage.
Right. So for this kind of charges, right, which comes to my next question, because I'm pretty sure this kind of question is going to be related to the past question I asked. It's going to be the red flags, right? So I know you love this kind of question here, right? Like, so yeah, like what are the red flags that consultants may not be the right fit for for the person, for the homeowner.
Yeah. So it's actually a problem. I find that a lot of homeowners just, there's a lot of wish, like I find that a lot of people are like, I don't like him, but I like his pretty cheap.
Mhm.
I should suffer through it. That kind of
Mhm.
thing. This is kind of problematic. So I think first red flag would be when your consultant doesn't have the ability to listen to what you have to say.
Right.
Meaning, you start a meeting, an initial meeting. You call a consultant.
Mhm.
The first thing they have to do is to hear you out. What is that you have to say?
True.
So again, personally, when I'm conducting meeting with our clients, I will let them know
Mhm.
that in the beginning of this meeting,
Yeah.
I will be listening to them and taking notes.
Mm.
Okay?
Right.
I'm not gonna disturb anything in the middle
Mhm.
unless again it goes to an unnecessary, or it needs to, of course.
Yeah.
I'm just listening.
Mhm.
So I find the first thing is the ability to listen.
Right.
When your consultant starts, kind of jumping in and doesn't let you finish your thought,
Mhm. You need to
that's probably
Yeah.
somebody that you will not be able to have communications during construction.
right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
And also another like red flags. I remember you mentioned
yeah,
about before.
so
Yeah.
agreeableness.
Mhm.
So I find I actually even witnessed it before, where we had other teams, not very ethical, but
Mhm.
it happened to me in my past
Mhm.
many years ago, where I would come to see a homeowner and they actually have another consultant there.
What?
And you would sit down and you
Uh-huh.
would wait. You know what? I'm not even worried about it. I love to learn.
Mhm.
I was never overconfident.
Mhm.
I do believe that I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but I'm never overconfident.
Right.
And I like to learn.
Mhm.
And yes, and I've seen situations where a consultant would come in
Mhm.
and the client would say, "Oh, can I have this done? Can I have that done?" Yes. The problem is that sometimes two things can happen.
Mhm.
It's either yes, but,
Mhm.
and this but usually is outside of the budget of the homeowner,
Right.
and that is not being explained to them because the person who's there just want to grab the job.
Yeah. True.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or it's a clear no and they just don't know.
And this is quite serious. If
Yes.
it's a clear no,
Especially if you're
and you
in
still
for
accept it.
yeah, especially if you're in for, we want to remove a load bearing wall, for an
Mhm.
example. But we want to remove it up to this and that point. Is it possible?
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so this is the second thing that is a red flag when
Mhm.
your consultant is very agreeable
Mhm.
and just listening to you and like, yeah, of course we're gonna do everything for you.
Mhm.
Because I always find that, not always, of course, but
Mhm.
there are situations where my client, wants a Lamborghini with a budget of a Honda Civic, and respectfully, you should let them know that, my friend, you either get the Honda Civic
Yeah.
or you can get the right rim of the Lamborghini, decide one of the two. But getting the
Yeah.
Lamborghini with that, so
It's
they need to
impossible, yeah.
understand. But to get a job, to give them some, homeowners don't know how to read drawings, right?
Yeah.
So to get
Like
a
most,
job,
yeah.
to get the drawings submitted to the city, get the approvals,
Mhm.
only for the homeowner to get quotes above their heads later,
Mhm.
they will just call you back and be like, listen, what did you do? We spent all this money for permits and we're not able to build it.
Mhm.
So this is very important. Agreeableness is a big problem.
Mhm.
Not raising future issues, which we just discussed about.
Yeah.
Me as a consultant, I'm not here in your home just to agree with you about everything.
Mhm.
If I see that something might become an issue or, technically not as simple and might cost more,
Yeah.
you need to know. Like, for example, I'll come to your house and you want to remove a wall. What you don't understand that this wall, a load-bearing wall, can include communications like plumbing, HVAC, returns. And you're telling them, okay, hold on, we can remove the wall. And they're like, yeah, we got a quote from the other contractor. We want to do it. Did you talk to them about HVAC? What do you mean HVAC? Yeah, you got pipes going in the wall. How do you know? Well, you got a return vent just there in the wall. Oh, HVAC. What about plumbing? So we're going to need to reroute the plumbing. So it's a little bit more work. You understand that? So those are the kind of things that clients should be aware, because you rather not get the job instead of getting yourself into the point where you're coming to opening and tell your client,
oh my,
right?
this is pretty
not
bad.
happening.
Yeah,
Not happening.
it's
You don't want to
pretty
be that company.
Yeah.
I find also that avoiding technical discussions with the homeowner. You want to make sure that the person who you deal with are not just a sales representative. They actually know technically what is going to be done. So every time I come to a client's house, while talking to the client, believe it or not, in my head, I'm already 7 steps ahead. In my head, this job was already done.
Right.
Because in my head, I already know I'm removing this wall. I need to put a beam in there. In order to put this beam, we're going to need to do ABC. Column's going to go down there. Are they going to be at the right spot, or is it going to be an issue?
Right.
Am I transferring the load all the way to the basement? All that, believe it or not, I personally believe. You guys at home can take it with a grain of salt. I personally believe if I do not know all the process of construction before even approaching the drawings, that means that some things will be hidden that we don't know about. We don't want that. You want experience. You want somebody with experience that know that up front.
Yeah.
Usually when I come to my client's house, I kind of know more or less what's behind walls. Let's be frank. We're building those houses.
Yeah.
So we know what behind walls. 90% of the time. So it happens sometimes that I'm in within the 10%, but 90% of the time I would.
Right.
So being able to discuss technical things, explaining your client where we are going to put the column, it makes them visualize the project better. It makes them know that you understand what you're doing and kind of trust you more, knowing that, okay, they will actually deliver it, not, make my house full.
Right.
And overall, just if you as a homeowner have a bad feeling about somebody,
just don't choose.
Don't even entertain that. If I come to your house and for some reason you don't like me, do not entertain me because it's not going to be a healthy relationship.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty true.
So I think those are mainly the red flags that you should go with. Overall, if you're thinking about all those and you're having a quick initial discussion, conversation with a consultant, you will be able to see whether they know what they're talking about or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you would say those are, how many points? 4 points?
Probably, well, we had 5 points.
5 points here.
Yeah.
5 points
Actually, the first and the second one kind of intertwine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
4 to 5 points.
I feel like based on what you just mentioned, the last point, if the person walk into your house and you don't like it, regardless the whole 1 to 4 points, you can just kind of get rid of it right away.
I always tell my clients, we're going to be in a relationship for the next year and a half too. Well, depending what we do again. Do you want to be in a relationship with somebody you don't appreciate or don't like, with somebody who will be arrogant, or with somebody that thinks they understand and know everything better for you than you? Or do you actually want to be in a relationship with a person that will listen to your thoughts, give you the pros and cons, and will leave it up to you whether you want to go ahead or not?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you as a homeowner will feel empowered that you're in control. You also need to understand, Vic, it's
right.
It's a great balance because you're playing with people's emotions.
Right.
When people pay you a down payment, building a house, a down payment of, a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're worried about their money. You got to make
That's
sure
pretty
that they're
true.
in right hands.
That's pretty true.
You got to make sure that, imagine they paid you. You are paying a person a huge down payment. You come in the morning to talk to them. Okay, so what are you going to be doing here? You're excited. You're a homeowner. And the contractor is like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry. We're going to do everything right. Just don't stand on the side. Don't be here. You're bothering us.
Ooh.
Well, they're not going to tell them you're bothering us.
But they try to exclude
but
you.
now the homeowner is like, holy crap. What am I going to do? Okay, clearly, if there will be a problem, now I'm worried to come and talk to him, to them, because they're upset. So what do we do? This kind of communication and all that needs to be avoided. So you got to pick the person that you feel is there for you.
Right.
Clearly, there are homeowners that are saying, Max, you gave me a budget. I like the budget. Let's go ahead. I don't want to get involved. Get that built.
Wow. Okay.
That's fine. That's normal. But most of clients are not like that. Most of clients need to be
present and to walk in and trying to ask you some questions.
And of course, me, you remember how we call a contractor, me, myself, and my hammer. This kind of contractor will not, all they want to do is just keep using their hammer.
Right.
What you want to do, you want to have this contractor who will walk around with you, who will show you what's being done. It's a big investment.
True.
Same as when you're investing, when you have an investment firm that you give them $1 million to invest on your behalf. Do they need to at least send you reports and tell you how the money is being used? Of course they do.
Yeah. True.
They use your money, you give them your money, to you what is being done with your money, how it's being invested, to make sure that you know that you're on top of things. Same here. You're investing huge amount of money, and you want to know that it's being used
on the
for the house and for certain things that it's supposed to be used on, and not on things outside of the process.
Right. Because I remember we went to an inspection like last month, remember? Like,
yes.
Like quite a few times, like 3 times.
Yes.
Because I went there for like photography and picture shooting.
We were looking
and videos.
at a couple of garden suites, right?
Garden
that
suite,
we just built.
Garden suite, and also the one in Ajax, remember? Like the one in Ajax.
Yes.
Yeah, like the one renovation for the first floor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just quite curious. Is that a homeowner? Like the contractor, the guy with the blue shirt? I'm just quite curious. You remember? The other guy is like tall guy. His name's called George.
Oh, he's
George,
no.
and
So
the other guy.
He's
the other
one of
guy.
our project managers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I really thought he's a homeowner or something. Like he's always came here.
No. So no. He wasn't a homeowner. He was just one of our project managers on site to make sure that everything is done right.
Right. Yeah. So I've been there before. It's a lot of speculation, right? Like it's very but it's seems a lot of work. It's a lot of work for sure.
It's a progress, but listen, it's a lot of work to build something. It's a lot of work to create a software. It's a lot of work to create
the rendering,
that upcoming video
too,
that Jamie is going to be
yeah.
creating for us. But everything is a lot of work. If you manage it right and you have the right team to do the right thing, you're okay.
Right.
If you have me, myself, and my hammer kind of guy, you're probably going to be in trouble. Because one person, there's only so much they can do. And you know what happened? While you're saving $1 on that, you will lose $1 on waiting for the house to be built longer.
Yeah, I mentioned
paying
that before.
Mortgage,
right? Yeah.
Paying percentages, that's a different ballgame. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that before. Like 2 to 3 months extra waiting time. And you lost a lot of rent.
I really find it, if you do the math, at the end of the day,
it's not worth it at all.
I always tell people, there's a reason why we're in the market. If we as a design build company were just overpriced, company and it wouldn't make sense, we wouldn't be in the market.
True.
There's a reason why we're in the market.
So we're here in the market to provide the actual, streamlined services for the homeowner and people for us to choose.
Of course. The question is,
expedite the whole time.
do you want to be losing? The price is a set price.
True.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do you want to have a set price,
Mm-hmm.
pay it at the end of the process and be happy with it? Or do you want to hope that you're going to pay less, pay a lot of extras during the process, pay a lot of extra money because it takes longer to build?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe or maybe not some mistakes, because you can always backfire at me saying, well, Max, you're saying as if everybody's bad. You know, no, there are good contractors out there.
Yeah.
There are. But again, when you invest into the stock market, the question is, how much
Return.
are you willing to bet?
Yeah.
To bet, right? You might lose everything. You might not. It's up to you. If you're a gambler kind of guy, good for you. But if you want to make sure that your investment is safe, you'll want to go with a reputable company
Right.
that does things right.
So to wrap it up, you will say choose the right consultant will be based on, you know, like first of all, like whether you like him or not. You know, like the red flag you mentioned, the fifth most important point.
That's how it is. You gotta be realistic. That's how it is.
Yeah, that's how it is, right? And
That's
also knowing whether he's available to be transparent, right? Like to you, no timeline, no the milestone for the future project.
Not painting a beautiful story and then
taking 1 to 2 years to finish it. Right. Yeah, that's true. So you would say these are going to be the things you need to be looking for, like looking on.
Under promise, don't over promise.
Yeah. Like us, we never over promise, you know. Never.
We try not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'll happily take sometimes the credit.
Yeah.
Because not always it's our credit.
Okay.
But I will happily take sometimes the credit when I told the client, let's say I can deliver something, a building in a year. You know what? Let's go smaller. Garden Suites. I can deliver it in 5 months. I would say 7. And I deliver it in 5.
Yeah.
And they're happy like there is no tomorrow. I'll take the credit and I'll be happy with them.
Yeah.
But I will never tell them that I can deliver it in 5 months. And the goal, believe it or not, the goal all the time is to promise 7 and deliver 5. If they go to somebody who promised 5 and deliver 7, it's a problem. But if it stay with you, the goal is, believe it or not, is to always make them feel, oh wow, they're on top of things.
Yeah.
They're on top of things. They're on top of, when it comes to starting with the permits. Oh wow, they said for that kind of permit going to take 2 months, delivered it in 6 weeks. Oh wow, they said that the permit going to come in 2 months, it came in 1 month. Oh wow, that's the idea. The idea. When you set expectations with your client and under-deliver.
Yeah.
Deliver.
Like deliver on time.
On time and everything. That's where the good relationship is coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, now you guys know how to choose the right consultants right now, right? Yeah, this is why we are here. And I think this episode is basically talking about how to choose exactly the right one, the right person for you. Not only save out your time, but also save out a lot of your energy.
I think we're gonna save a lot of homeowners out there from a lot of hustle.
Definitely.
Just from hustle. At the end of the day, even hustle. Sometimes you're thinking, not sometimes, time always costs money.
Yeah.
And by not wasting this time arguing and all that, and sleeping well at night, not thinking where your investment is going, not worrying about it, it just makes the process healthier.
True.
Healthier relationship.
True.
That's it. That's what it is.
Right. So, basically, I feel like this is about, like this episode. That's the only few questions I have. I feel like because I have the other, few questions here. Do you want to do in the second episode, maybe?
I'll tell you what, we can definitely.
You want to kind of separate it because, I feel like, this is kind of like a pretty educational kind of podcast that we
You
have.
think it's too long, getting overwhelming a little bit?
I think so. It is. Like, how do you guys think? You guys can comment below. Like, do you guys want to have an hour episode or just like 2.5, 2 hours episode? Just let me know. Like, let us know for sure. We need your comments. And
I'll tell you what, I'll definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah?
I think we should definitely divide it in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That could be one of 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Part 1, part
right?
2,
And yeah, we'll be happy to come up with the
deliver
rest
more
of it on the next one.
on the next one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And just to tease out a little bit, I really like this kind of pillow. It's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I'm not holding it right now, and
We start a business going on.
yeah.
Here. Pillow business.
we gotta we not only promote like our own stuff. I mean, because we are like for this kind of construction podcast, but also this. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about this pillows.
Merchandise.
I'll tell you something
Okay,
a
yeah,
little bit about
merchandise.
this pillow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those are actually handmade
Mm-hmm.
by a
By
very close person to me.
Oh, okay.
That's I love very much,
Mm-hmm.
and I really appreciate it because those are geometrical shapes that I love.
Okay.
I like when everything is clean. I like when everything is
Can you guys see it?
shaped right.
Yeah.
Because this is really how I act, and this is what Acadia is all about.
Right.
Straightforward, no surprises, just like the geometry in this pillow.
Like this.
Anyways, to make a long story short, I love those pillows. This is a new addition to the furniture.
The furniture,
in
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And thank you for liking it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I think we should have, like, I don't know, Arcadia merchandise. No, like, yes, and then
Anyways,
no,
guys,
kidding.
Thank you for being with us. And Vic, thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
Guys, as I always say, back to work. Thank you for being with us.